Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin and the fact that it is pushed to $40,000 again. If you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 100,000 subscribers. Give the video a thumbs up. Also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go and jump in. So we've been following Bitcoin here. It had a correction, obviously not a sustained one that took us to the 20 weeks so far. And in fact, we have had a nice rebound now. So obviously at this point, the question is whether this is a dead cat bounce or if in fact we will trend higher. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Now, one of the things we were talking, a lot of channels were talking about, and this is one of those, a great opportunity to show you how, traditional TA does not always work out. And we try to say, okay, well, these are the upside risks, these are the downside risks. Obviously, it can trend higher, but you have to be aware of what the downside risk is. And a lot of people were talking about the head and shoulders pattern that you can see. And I got tons of comments about the head and shoulders. The idea, though, and I've said this before with a lot of traditional TA techniques, is that they work sometimes, and then people will use those times that it works to validate them. But this is a great example of it just simply not working. I mean, how many YouTubers or people say we're calling for head and shoulders here, and then it was gonna trend down, and in fact it did not at all. And this is a prime example of why I don't typically talk about these types of things on the channel. Instead, we talk about the downside risk of a bull market, which would even take you to the 20-week SMA or the 21-week EMA. We talk about the downside risk, and we talk about levels of overextension from, say, the 20-week moving average or the fair value logarithmic regression line. But traditional TA, a lot of times, just simply does not work, and this is a prime example of it. I was, however, joking on a live stream that maybe it is a head and shoulders like everyone thinks, but that the guy just has his hand raised. And they just didn't take that into consideration. So just something to consider. Another example of traditional TA just simply not at all working, and that's why I've often said that short-term price movements are more so a random walk, geometric Brownian motion, than something that we can realistically hope to predict with short-term technical analysis. So with that said, let's actually zoom back out to the longer time frames and see where we are. So far, it's not definitive if we're going to break 42K. It seems like it's certainly plausible. If we put on our regression band and we want to see where we are at the present time, you can see this is where we are. Okay, so we're still not at the top up here. In order to get to the top, the peak regression band, the lower bound, we would need to get to approximately $55,000, almost maybe $56,000. The upper part of the regression band is closer to $83,000. Let me give you the exact numbers. Sorry, $82,000. So it ranges from $55,615 up to $81,948. That's if we were to in fact reach the peak regression band. Now we also know that the peak regression band, there's a lot more uncertainty in it than our fair value regression band. The fair value regression band was very useful to us in the accumulation phase and the bear market, helping us to identify the periods of reaccumulation. Now, it could have felt like Bitcoin wasn't really doing a whole lot and that it was just retracing back down to lower levels, but you can see that the price was generally moving up during this time. And by fitting the regression band from all prior data up through the end of the bear market, I've found historically that it does a really good job of showing you where the accumulation phase is, and I think we can say that it did. Despite the fact that we had this, all these little moves in here, all of this for me was just pure accumulation, right? Pure accumulation of Bitcoin. You don't really get out of bed for this stuff. You just treat it as opportunities. Now, these types of moves are clear. They're not accumulation for smart money. Okay, it doesn't mean they're not accumulation for some people, and for maybe even institutional investors are coming in kind of late to the party. But for the smart people, the smart money, I should say, that was accumulating over here and over here, you stand to gain a lot more because you got in fairly early, then more institutional money comes in, more retail investors come in, and then we start watching the price move up. Now, the question, of course, remains as well: are we going to reach our upper regression band? And one of the things I should say again is the upper regression band is fit to only 3 data points. So, the idea that it has to stop in here at the wherever the end of the cycle is just simply not true. I have much more confidence in this one because it's fit to thousands of data points. This one is just fit to 3. So we have to bear in mind that while this upper trend line is a pretty nice trend line, and if we go say look at it, let's go look at it for the BLX where we can see it go much further out. While this trend line is a very nice one to look at, we have to remain aware that it is in fact only fit to 3 data points. Okay, those 3 data points being this peak, and this peak. So those are the only 3 data points it's fit to. So in order for us to get to this point, it would just come to the equation that is 10 times a ln of x minus b for those 3 data points. So if it comes to that, if we reach that level, then we will have reached the fit to those 3 data points. And for us to reach it, we would need to reach a valuation that again ranges from around from 55,615 up to 81,948. So it's possible we don't make it there in the short term. It's also possible that we go above it. Okay, like it's certainly possible that we go above this regression band as well, and it just simply means that we now have a 4th data point, and if we refit it for the next cycle, then hopefully it'll be a little bit more useful. So we'll see where Bitcoin takes us. We still have a ways to go here to get to the upper regression band. In order for us to get there, the price needs to go up by approximately another 40%. So of course it's possible to get to the upper regression band. It would need to go up about 100% from where it currently is. As you know, it's currently at around 40K. We know the upper band is around 82K. So about a little over 100% to get to the upper part of the band. If it goes above 100% above it in the short term, then it could theoretically get to 6 figures. Now, one of the things we want to keep in mind too is that these are not set in stone. So while it might range from 55.6K to 88 or 81.9K today, these are monotonically increasing. And so, if we were just to say, obviously it's curved, but if we were just to somewhat loosely extend this out, the lower bound on it by November of 2021 would probably be closing in on 80K, and the upper bound by the end of 2021 would be closing in on probably over 100K. So it's just something to keep in mind. I do anticipate that Bitcoin will reach this level at some point. I know a lot of people, would think that it would, take longer. And even if for 4-year cycle theories, I imagine that most people think it would take another 11 months for us to get to push past 6 figures. But at this point, it's not that far away. So we need to keep an open mind on whether it could happen or not. And we have to say, it's certainly a possibility, but the downside risk remains, right? The downside risk remains just like it did in 2019. In 2019, we extended from the fair value by approximately 200%. Now we're overextended from the fair value by approximately 266%, 65%, somewhere in that ballpark. So we've seen these types of moves before, and we just want to remain somewhat level-headed and not get swept up in what's going on. But it is certainly an exciting time. Like, we'll make no mistake about it. It's certainly an exciting time. If we take a bar pattern, in fact, from, say, that move to there, from the bottom, and we overlay it here, you can see there are a lot of similarities between the 2019 move and this move. In fact, the 2019 move, as measured, this way on this log scale, would have peaked right around 41K. So just to give you an idea, there is short-term risk involved. So we don't want to take anything for granted. However, we've also said that momentum is a hell of a thing. It really is, right? The trend is your friend until the end. And opening up short positions on Bitcoin, a lot of times it's just simply it's fighting the trend, okay? And that's why I don't recommend. It's not financial advice, but I personally would not be shorting Bitcoin or anything like that, just because fighting momentum is certainly a really hard thing to do. So at this point, we're just going to keep an eye on, will it break past 40K? It already has. Can it sustain it? Can it get above 42K? And if it gets above 42K, then it could quickly get heated again and maybe make a push up to 46K, up to 50K. 50K would certainly be a big deal, being half of 100K. So these are certainly exciting times. Make sure you're responsible. Don't not financial advice, but I personally would not be betting the family farm here. I still own the majority of my Bitcoin, but the times are definitely getting testy right now, and obviously it will remain to be seen whether this will ultimately be known as or referenced as a dead cat bounce, or if we end up breaking higher and it'll leave us saying who bought the dip. So if you guys like the content, remember to subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 100,000 subscribers. If you guys like the content, give the video a thumbs up. Check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. And remember, there's also the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com if you want access to exclusive content, weekly reports, weekly videos, Telegram alerts channel, Telegram chat room, risk dashboard. We also talk about other things besides crypto, ways to offset risk in crypto and put it into other things that are also risky, but stand to make, potentially make decent amounts of, or to provide decent ROIs as well. So make sure you guys check it out, intothecryptoverse.com. At the very least, subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 100,000 subscribers. I think we're going to make it relatively soon. So thank you guys for that. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.